Hey guys, it's Dr. Bickling from Own It Dental, coming to you from my vacation hideaway. As always, here's my contact information if you need to get a hold of me. I have this blown up really big because today we're going to dive into some things. I don't want to make sure that you can see it. But again, as always, here's my contact information. And if you guys are enjoying these videos, please do hit that like button. It's right down below. It only takes you a second, and it's the industry standard to hit that like button. Speaking of industry standards, today we're going to talk about the dental industry in 2003, the benchmarks and the industry standards. So let's dig into it. All right, if you're like me this week, you opened up your email and you received the Jarvis Analytics, the state of dental business 2003. So of course I had to hop on this junk email list and get the download just so I can see what's going on in the dental industry. Now I briefly looked through this and I didn't really prepare this. We're just going to kind of do this off the cuff, see what's going on. I'll briefly go through the benchmarks themselves, and then we'll talk about them individually to see where the industry is in 2003 and where do you stand next to the rest of the dental business. All right, so let's see what we got here. All right, so there's a little bit of introduction here, and I'm not going to get into that too much. We're just going to go right into the benchmarks. So here we go. First, I'll just go through the benchmarks themselves and the metrics, the benchmarks, and the industry averages, and then we'll go through them individually in a little bit more detail. So they're going to talk about patient retention. The benchmark is 85% patient retention. I'm going to get into this in a little bit, but 85% it's not enough. It's not even close to being enough. And you'll see that here in a second. But the industry average is about 58. They talk about active patient numbers, hygiene appointments, new patients, hygiene retention rate, perioprophy, perio-to-prophy percentage. Looks like they want 60% of your perio to be prophies to be perio of your appointments, hygiene appointments to be perio. Huge. So. Average production per day hygiene, I don't care about that too much. Case acceptance, rolling day, we'll talk about their definition of case acceptance. Average doctor production per hour, this is going to surprise you. Average production per doctor appointment, that'll surprise you as well. No-show rate, 10% or less, yeah, right. Copay collection, case acceptance rate, etc., etc. So let's dig into this. Let's start with patient retention. So, matter of fact, they talked about hygiene retention here, but we'll just dig into patient retention. So, the patient retention is the percentage of patients seen, basically for these exams, within the last 18 months. So they're even doing it on an 18-month retention. So, their benchmark's 85%. So the reason why I say 85% is not nearly enough, let's just take a regular dental office with 2 doctors, right? And you see 500 filled hygiene a month. A 85% retention rate means you're losing 15% of those patients. And what's 15% of 500? That's 75 patients a month. Now, if we go back here and we look at the new patient numbers, their new patients, their benchmark is 30 new patients per month per doctor. The industry average is 24. So if this is a 2-doctor practice, they're only getting 48 new patients a month for the 2 doctors, but yet they're losing 75, right? This is why the state of dental industry is in terrible condition, is because this is just not nearly enough. Many of you know, if you've been with me long enough, you've got to have a 98% retention rate or better. And there are certain things that you need to do in order to achieve that. But the industry average is only 58% retention rate, and that is just terrible. Just terrible, terrible, terrible. It never surprises me how terrible dentists are at running a business. But yeah, so where do you guys stand up against these? I could tell you from, I know my clients' numbers, and a lot of you doing a lot better even than the industry standard. So good job to you guys. Number of active patients. So the way that they calculate this is, again, over the last 18 months. So they say 2,000 per full-time doctor. Let me just grab my calculator real quick. So 2,000 divide 18 months. That's 111 patients per doctor per month. If any of you guys know me, that I say that a dentist should see about 150 to 200 hygiene checks per month. Experienced doctors can get upwards of 250, maybe even as high as 300. But the benchmarks here is they're saying about 110 patients per month, hygiene patients per month for this per doctor. So that's not a lot. That's not a lot. It's probably enough to make some money, certainly enough to make a little bit of money, but I know my clients are doing a lot better than that. So you guys are crushing it still. New patients, again, a lot of you guys, you're crushing these numbers. I've got offices that are seeing 100, 150, 200 new patients a month. You guys are crushing these numbers. So a lot of you are seeing 50 new patients per doctor per month. So good job to you guys. This just shows you that dentists just aren't open and available for their patients out there. Hygiene retention rate, again, their benchmark is 80%. I'm not sure how they're calculating this different, because the other ones had to do with any exam. So but anyway, they only want you to keep 80%, which again, 20% loss of 500 patients, that's 100 patients. How are you going to replace those if you're only getting 24 new patients per month per doctor? You're not going to replace those. Your office is going to shrink, and that's not a good way to run a business. Perio to prophy percentage. So the number of perio appointments divided by the sum of all appointments. So they want your perio to be 60% of your total hygiene. And if you ask me that, I'd say that's a good way of kicking a patient out the door. There are plenty of studies that show that these patients, with these numbers, these codes, 5 years into your practice, none of them are in your practice anymore. They're all gone. So, or if they are, they're very small percentage of these patients stay in your practice. So this is clearly the insurance companies telling you that they want this, because they want to kick the patients out the door. And that's perhaps why they only have a 58% retention rate. I don't get into how much my hygienists produce. I don't look at hygiene as a profit center. I look at it as that's how I bring my patients back so that I can do dentistry on them. There's going to be a natural amount of production in a day. If your hygienists are assisted, that is, they have an assistant to help with the x-rays and the cleanup of the rooms and sit in with the doctors while he or she's doing the exam, well, then the hygienist can see twice as many patients, which means they're going to produce more. Again, I don't track this too much because this is kind of irrelevant to me to a degree. But what I really do care about more is just getting the patients back on the schedule so that the doctors can do the dentistry that they need. Case acceptance same day. Now, so their definition of case acceptance in this instance is just if the patient says yes to anything. So their benchmark is 50% case acceptance same day, and then they have this rolling 90-day case acceptance. They want greater than 75%. Again, all patients that had production added or scheduled within the last 90 days was initially presented and divided by the patients that received a treatment plan. So it's like if they just said yes to anything, they call it case acceptance. Okay. So I don't. It doesn't really mean much to me. This is interesting here. Average doctor production per hour. You'll see that the industry average is about $300. So if we do an 8-hour day, they're doing $2,400 a day, and my opinion, that's not a whole lot. I'm sure that it probably is pretty average for a lot of your associates and stuff like that, but. Even if it's at $500 a day times an 8-hour day, that's a $4,000 day. And, for an experienced dentist, you should be able to do that in an 8-hour day. But in any case, that's where most dentists are. And I know that a lot of you guys are doing a lot better than that. Average production per doctor appointment, again, so they're doing about $300. Let's assume that their appointments are an hour. They're doing about $300. Average production per provider per day. Now, I don't know how they come up with this, because if you do the math on the other one, it's about $2,400. And yeah, the benchmark is $4,000. That math makes sense. But so I don't know how they come up with this. But even still, an average dentist is producing about $3,000 a day. I've had associates that can just crush that. So, but so even if this is the case, let's just do the math. Let's say they work 20 days a week at $3,000 a day. I mean, they're doing $60,000 a month, you know. Okay, you know, not amazing. I would take it if I had an associate doing $60,000 a month. I'd take it. That associate would certainly be profitable, slightly, but not going to be a whole lot of juice to squeeze out of that. But that's what the average dentist is doing. They're doing $60,000 a month. You know, where do you guys stack up next to that? So I think pretty good. Just so you guys know, I work 2 days a week at an office. I just work Thursdays and Fridays, Thursday evenings and Fridays, and I'm due between $50,000 to $60,000 a month in just 2 days a week. So that's where I stack up next to these average dentists out there. So I know you guys are doing a lot better. And this is just ridiculous. No-show rate of 7. Industry average is 7%. Yeah, right. You know, this is like, I don't know. This is doctors just living in fantasy land or something like that. Count all of the deleted or cancel appointments. You guys know this is not true. This is, I don't know where they came up with this number, but it's a lot more than that. Especially if you're counting all of the deleted appointments or canceled appointments, not just hygiene. And you know, maybe they're just counting the ones on the production schedule and not counting the hygiene ones. But we know that it's a lot higher than that. How can they have a cancellation rate of a no-show rate of 7% or less, and then only retain 58% of their patients? So we know that can't, just simply mathematically can't be true. Copay collection benchmark is 95. Industry average is 75. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I'm not going to dig into that too deep. Again, case acceptance. So here's where I kind of agree with this one a little bit more closely. It displays the percentage of treatment plan dollars that are scheduled or completed. So this is a little bit more closely related to how I define it. And I certainly would think an industry average, I would shoot for 50% or more personally. But if they're going for 65% or greater, great. I think that's a great number. Industry average at 45%. Is that even true? I'd have to sit down and do the math and really find out if this number is true. But if they say it is, fine. That seems okay. I had a minimum tolerance of about 25%. If a doctor didn't have a case acceptance of about 25% dollars collected versus dollars presented, then we would have a pretty serious sit-down conversation and see what was going on. But if my doctors were doing 45%, I'd be fine with that. Again, I don't know if this is accurate. I'd have to sit down and do the numbers based off of the other numbers, the math off of the other numbers, but I wouldn't be upset about this. Again, hygiene reappointments, benchmark greater than 90%. No, the benchmark needs to be greater than 98%. Again, there's industry average 73%. So, I mean, if you're not reappointing, 27% of your patients, I mean, that's a third of your patients you're losing. So, in any case, yeah. I don't understand how dentists expect to be in business when they're losing this many patients, simply not keeping their patients. So, in any case, you guys can go through this. You can, hop on the Henry Schein email list, get all spammed out and all that other stuff, whatever you like. So, in any case, yeah, go through that. And congratulations to you guys, because I know you guys are crushing it. You guys are doing a lot better than this. It's a little eye-opening to see, what the dental industry is doing out there. And again, it's never surprising to me to see how terrible most dentists are at running their own businesses. But that does go to show a couple of things. One, most dentists are terrible at running their businesses. But two, and more importantly, there's really no competition for you guys out there. It doesn't matter how many dentists are in your neighborhood because they're not keeping their patients. They're kicking them out the door. They really have no clue how to run their businesses. So I appreciate you guys watching these. I appreciate you guys being part of the Own It Dental family. Again, here's my contact information if you need to get a hold of me, and I'll see you on the next video. Talk to you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, go to ownitdental.com or click the link above and check out my services. I have dozens of hours of training videos and I've negotiated reduced lab fees for all my clients. So if you want to get out of the dental chair and start owning your business, go to ownitdental.com and check out my services, and I'll see you soon.